I called it Women in Ascent because I just realized that all the last expedition I did, I always did in female teams, but I was not searching for it. I just want to climb with my friends, and they suddenly happen to be all girls, and they're all strong climbers, so why not? So this is how I started. Okay, I started skiing-wise, and then took it to the big mountains, skiing in El Chalten. You can see Torretta and Février on the left picture. But I also started with alpinism. Well, at the beginning, my mom had to rope me in, and the other picture is after having climbed the RideNRoses phase, which I climbed twice in the women team too. So this is kind of the place where I go the most. So I was like, this is definitely a place where my heart is, and I have to talk about it, which is Patagonia. And I climb a lot in the Février range, Torretta range, which is El Chalten, which you see here. So probably most of the people know it here because it's a super scenic and super well-known place. And this is how you imagine it, like this beautiful granite spires, but most of the time it's like this. So we can't really hear it, but this was the day that was supposed to be good, and it ended up like this. And one really special mountain there for me is Torretta, which is this left mountain. I mean, there's tons and tons about stories about Torretta and how it, and like myth and mythology, how it has been climbed, when it has been first ascended. And it's just this like super beautiful mountain. And already the really first year I went there, I climbed it nearly to the top, so we had to turn around 3 pitches before the summit. And then walking back, I really had the mountain in my head, and I was like, oh, I want to go back there, I want to summit it. And I was kind of frustrated. So I went back the next year, and there was no good weather at all. We spent just 2 months of bad weather in Chalten, hanging out in the village. And I mean, this is kind of Patagonian reality. And then I went back the next year, together with my friend Christina, and yeah, we started walking to Torretta again. And walking to the west face is super long. You walk at least 2 or 3 days to get there, and you just walk on a flat glacier forever. It's pretty boring though, even more if you have done it already. But well, we walked there again, but then got to this, which is like this super amazing and fantastic ice climbing. So this is the 2 of us climbing up to Elmo. So this is still like the easy part where we're climbing up, and we still have our camping gear and everything with us. And then we would camp, and then this is the next day. So you climb in this like big merengue formations, and it's one of the most impressive ice routes I've ever climbed. And the amazing thing was that this day, Christina and me were like alone on the mountain. There was one other party like way below us, and they were friends of us, which was really funny. But if not, we were alone. And the first time I climbed it, actually I didn't get to the summit because there were so many people, and we were just waiting the whole time, and it got dark. So actually I'm happy I didn't get to the summit the first time, because I had to go there again, climb this amazing route again, and in way nicer atmosphere, because we were just alone. And this is so different than if there's like 8 other parties. And this is the head wall, kind of the steep ice part. Climb up there. It's like super impressive, all these formations, these ice formations. I've never seen them anywhere else in the world. And this is these famous tunnels. So you climb through a tunnel. This is like a photo taken upwards. So it's super steep ice climbing in a tunnel, but it's super fun. And this is also formations that you don't find at many places in the world, because this is formed by the wind, so it's not man-made. And then you climb through the tunnel, and then you get to the last mushroom, which is like kind of the crux of the route, because the last mushroom is just like vertical snow, and you can't put any protection, and your ice axe, they will just go through, and you kind of walk like on raw eggs. It's like super hard getting up there. And I mean, the first protection probably put it up to 10 meters, and it's a really bad ice screw. I was thinking maybe it might like hold a little bit, or at least make me fall a bit slower, but whatever. Luckily I didn't fall. So yeah, we got up to the summit, and it was pretty amazing to be up on the summit after like 3 years of trying, and it was just a big dream. And it was super cool to do it with Christina because there was no girls team and there's still no other girls team having free climbed Caro North. So it was kind of cool to be the first girls team doing this. But for me on the summit, it's always just half of the way because you know, like El Chaltén is super far way back there, and like to be super happy, you can only be super happy when you're back home because there is still all the rappels to going all the way walk out of the big ice field. And actually it got super windy, the window closed down, the weather window closed down earlier than where we saw it. So we started rappelling, and then from there on, kept on going for 48 hours. So we didn't stop anymore because the wind was getting so strong and making us fall on the ice. So we were like, we have to get out of here. And we got quite scared. So I was more scared on the way back than on the whole climb because the wind was so strong and we were like, we knew that we had to get out of the ice field before it gets too strong. And yeah, so we walked 20 hours straight till we reached El Chaltén. And when you see these slides, it's just like, wow, crazy. We finally made it back. And it was super cool experience. And I mean, since then I've been back lots of times because there's so many other cool stuff to climb there. And another like really important part for me of climbing is like making the friendships I do. And this girl, I met her in Chaltén actually, it's Brad Harrington. And we just got really good friends, and then we went climbing to Indian Creek together and tried to do some hard off-width climbing. And I'm talking about her because we did like all kinds of climbing. So we went back to Patagonia in winter 1 year ago, and actually we wanted to mix climb, and we ended up like digging in big snow all the time. And this was kind of the only time we had good weather. It was so beautiful, but there was just so much powder everywhere, like all over, on the walls everywhere. So we finally realized that it's super hard to climb with all this powder because there was even big avalanche risk. So we tried a couple of times and then got it that we had to end up skiing. So we skied some really cool stuff there. And actually there's good skiing in Chaltén, like not only climbing, it's super fun and there's quite some good powder, so we enjoyed it. We had taken the skis for a broach and finally we ended up skiing like free riding. It was super cool. And then I continued with her and we went to Alaska together and opened up this new mixed route this spring, which was super fun too. And this is kind of the thing which is really cool with Brad. We can just do everything together and we can just follow the conditions. If it's mixed climbing, we go mixed climbing. If it's rock climbing, we go rock climbing. And if it's skiing, we go skiing. And this is quite worth something. And then a month later, we just went rock climbing because it was rock climbing season. So we opened a super cool new line on the Chinese puzzle wall. It's this amazing granite climbing. And the crazy thing on this wall, there's only one other route that Brad opened with her boyfriend a year ago, and this is only the second route. And look at this rock, it's just so beautiful. Okay, and I want to talk to you about one more expedition, which is an expedition to India, to Kishtwar, where we got the GRIT&ROCK grant last year for. So I went there together with two friends from the US, with Whitney Clark and Chelsea McKee, that actually I had met in Patagonia too, and that I knew from there, and our cook Rapton. So the first adventure was already here. We had to cross this big river and unloading the car, the first duffel fall into the water and swam away. So Josie didn't have any expedition gear anymore because it was her duffel. So we were like, no way, our expedition is gonna end before we even like start hiking in. So we actually drove down the valley for 7 kilometers and always saw the like bag popping up in the water in the middle of this like big Himalayan river, like, oh, no way it's ever gonna come to shore. But actually it did. So 7 kilometers further down, we got the duffel again, and there was still everything in there. So we could continue our expedition. So we hiked in and spent a couple of days with these nomad people while hiking in. And this is something which is kind of really important for me when I go on expeditions, to like get to know other cultures, to like be with these people. And they were, for example, making fresh butter for us. And this is something that makes an expedition and whole experience. It's not only about mountains and the rocks, it's also about the people you meet. And yeah, we arrived at this place and there was no bridge, it was just a river. And the porters, they were telling us, So base camp is here, but it was super far away from our mountain. So we ended up building this bridge during one whole day, and the shepherds were super happy for the bridge and used it the next day too. So, but this was not the only challenge. Like, this expedition was definitely full of challenges. Well, we had to cross this crazy glacier, and I've never seen such a broken glacier like this one. And I've been to a couple of places in the Himalayas and stuff, but it was horrible. Like, the weather was bad mainly for 3 weeks. You'll see the good weather pictures here, because the others, they're just grey, rainy, and snowy. But actually, we didn't have much good weather. This was one of the only good weather days at the beginning, and we saw this glacier, and we're like, wow, how are we gonna get through there? And then we tried every day, but always ended up in the clouds, always ended up in the fog, and never made it through. Until we got good weather again. And this is how it looked actually in this glacier. We had to climb steep ice to get through these crevasses and everything. And then we got a couple of days of good weather, but the real objective we had come for, it was full of snow. It was a west face, more than 1,000-meter rock wall, and it was full of snow. It snowed so much that it was impossible to climb it. And we had only 2 days of good weather. Actually, it was 3 days, or we were hoping for 3 days. So we're like, no, it's impossible to climb it. So we went for a little lower mountain beside, which Simon climbed, and we just climbed 10 amazing granite pitches and opened these 10 new pitches, which was amazing climbing. And then, luckily, at night, when it got dark, we found this ledge, and we had a place where to camp and where to put up our tent on the mountain. And then the next day, we waited for the sun to come out because it was super cold, and then started rock climbing again. And actually, it looked like a super day. We're like, cool, we'll make it to the summit today. But 2 hours later, a big storm rolled in, and it started snowing again, all the time on this expedition. And it snowed so much that it was all white. And we had only one pair of crampons because we wanted to go light. And we only take crampons for the leader. It was quite tricky to get down and wrap down again. So we wrapped to our little ledge, slept again, and then wrapped down and walked out all the way till base camp in the same day, because we knew the weather's gonna get bad again. And actually, luckily, we walked out until there because it got super snowy, and it snowed for 3 days straight, and we wouldn't have been able to cross this crazy glacier if it was all this snow. So we were happy to be at base camp, and actually we had to put an alarm every 2 hours to get our tents out because it was snowing so hard. But well, this is how expedition go, and this is kind of our final photo. Arjuna, the mountain we wanted to climb, is the big wall in the back, but well, we didn't even get to touch the wall, which is kind of sad, but I mean, it's always a success to come back and be alive and don't have any injuries, so the mountain stays there. You have to just try again, I guess. Well, and as I like so much the cultures of the countries, I stayed 1 more month and just traveled with 2 Indian friends for climbing and bouldering, and yeah, we went this little village for bouldering for a long time and just hanging out with the local people, which was a really great experience, and my Hindi is getting better and better.
Thanks, Caro, that was great. Really amazing photographs. You are going to go back to Arjuna again, and we know that a lot of the significant ascents that are made in high mountains are the result of 1 or 2 or 3 attempts. So this is really great. But it's nice to ask Caro what draws her back to this particular mountain with such a complicated glacier approach.
So on one side, I know the ways through the glacier now, so if I go back, it's going to be easier, hopefully. And the wall is super inspiring. Having it seen from close, it's just such a good challenge, and I think a mountain has to be a challenge and inspiring to go back, and it doesn't feel too dangerous. I've had other expeditions in the Himalayas where, for example, once on Nilkant in the Garhwal Himalaya, my friends, they went back the year after, but I got too scared because you have to traverse a couloir where rocks are falling, and I just didn't want to come back. It was not worth for me.
So safety as well as beauty, huh?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so what stands out in Caro's climbing to me and her expeditions is the passion and the joy and the joie de vivre that she has displayed. And she's been exceptionally successful climbing with other women and creating multiple different female teams. Caro, tell us what's unique to climbing with an all-female team and what you've learned from these adventures.
So I think for me the important thing is to climb with friends, and I'm not forcing it to climb with women. I just want to climb with my friends, and they're all strong women, so it's even greater. And I think what's really like something I feel a lot in women's team is that the communication is super good, and this is something I really enjoy.
Oh, international problem. Caro, when I first met you, I was impressed by this joy. However, you are human. And so do you have doubts, or do you have sleepless nights before a climb, or do you have any anxieties? Because, you know, she seems like a pretty positive person, and sometimes that can seem a bit superhuman.
Oh no, for sure. I do have these doubts, and sometimes you ask yourself, do I really want to go back there? Do I want to try again or not? And I feel my life is just like you have these big highs. You're like super happy when you get to the mountain, or when you do expedition, and then when you come back and when you can relax, you get these super lows because you're so tired. Like your whole body is exhausted and your mind is so exhausted. So these lows, they're not really nice to live, but I have them. I always feel like I have big highs, but also big lows afterwards when I'm completely tired. But I know it is part of the game too.
Well, thank you, and I wish you all the best for the next year. Last year she spent 8 weeks in Switzerland only. So I don't know, there's more than Arjuna took this year coming up. What else have you got on, maybe?
Well, I really love Patagonia, and this year I only spent 1 month there. This summer, Patagonia in summer, so I might go back in the winter.
Good. Well, we wish you the best. Thanks very much.